Okay, there we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Super excited to have our Oily Underground getting started in February, all about taming the dragon. And what I mean by that is, taming that inner dragon within that can come out, especially a certain time of the month, with our hormones, right? With our changes in hormones. So this call is going to be all about how to balance hormones naturally. We're going to go over what hormones are. I know for a lot of us, like we know our hormones, but we don't know exactly how it functions in all areas of the body. We're going to talk about, what makes our hormones kind of go out of balance. We're going to talk about ways to bring them in balance. And then we're going to have some testimonials to share on different products within Young Living that can help us to bring our hormones in balance and how they can help us. So if you've got a testimonial or something to share on hormones, we would love to hear from you. Or if you've got a question about hormones, please use the chat box. We're going to use that to go through questions. And certainly we still have time. Go invite a friend, a family member, someone in your team who needs to hear about hormone balancing. We would love to have them on. We love these calls just because it gives us an opportunity to kind of like pretend we're all sitting around a large kitchen table and just kind of sharing our testimonials, our tips. So this is kind of like our kitchen table talk. So not too formal, more just like being together and talking about what works for us. So if you don't know me, I'm Tracy Black, Crown Diamond, and love sharing and talking about our essential oils. Stacy Cook's going to be on as well to help us and share her testimonials. She's a gold leader here within our team. So anyway, very excited and can't wait to hear your testimonials and questions. But first of all, let's just kind of get a quick show of hands. Tell me in the comments, have you ever experienced a hormone imbalance? You may have not even known that you've experienced a hormone imbalance, but if you do know, go ahead and type in the chat box. Tell us what kind of hormone imbalance you had and, like what you experienced. We would love to hear from you. Okay, so if you didn't know this, more than 80% of women in their lifetime experience some kind of hormonal imbalance. Kind of crazy to think about that, right? Like more than 80%, that's insane, but it is what happens, right? And there's a few different things that happen to make our hormones kind of go out of balance. So first, before we get into that, let's just quickly chat about hormones. I think most of us know our hormones, right? Controls, our sex hormones, right? Like we've got, our estrogen, our testosterone. So we're very familiar with that. But things that we may not know is that hormones are actually a really crucial part of our bodies. And they help to regulate a lot of different systems in our bodies, including like our gut health, our ability to go to the bathroom, which is kind of crazy to think about, right? But it does, it regulates all of that. So just kind of quick little lesson on hormones. Hormones are kind of these chemical messengers that kind of travel throughout our body and help growth, metabolism, fertility, which we know, sexual desire, but they can even influence the function of the immune system, even our behavior, right? So before birth, they help to guide the development of the brain and the reproductive system. So pretty amazing that, our hormones are not coming into play, just at puberty, even before birth, right? These hormones are coming into play and helping our bodies to grow. And again, have important messengers kind of communicating with each other to help other parts of our bodies to function healthy. So in response to a signal from the brain, our hormones are secreted directly into the blood by our glands that produce and store them. These glands are what's known as the endocrine system. We talk a lot about the endocrine system in our group. Endocrine means secreting internally. Okay, so these chemicals that can interfere with the function of our hormones are called endocrine disruptors. And you may have heard us talk about that. You may have heard that in a news article that you've read, right? Like there might be a synthetic fragrance that's the endocrine disruptor or a hormone disruptor. There are common household cleaners, right, that are hormone disruptors or endocrine disruptors. So again, that interferes with the function, the healthy function of our hormones. That's how a lot of our hormones kind of go out of balance. We have here, we are familiar with the testes, right? in men, ovaries in women. Those are perhaps the most familiar type of endocrine glands, right? But it's these hormones that secrete, sex characteristics, everything from muscle mass, facial hair. They help with menstruation, pregnancy. Other endocrine glands that we have, include the thyroid, pancreatic islets, the adrenal glands. They're directly involved in our growth, like I said earlier, metabolism, and even like our fight or flight response to stress, which is not something that we're always thinking about, but adrenal glands in particular are related to that. So our cells, when our cells are exposed to hormones circulating in the bloodstream, not all of the cells react. Only a hormone's target cells, which have receptors for that hormone, will respond to its signal. So when the hormone binds to a receptor, it causes a biological response in the cell. If we liken a hormone to like a radio signal, right, then a receptor is like the antenna. I kind of like that analogy. Without the antenna, no signal would be received and no music would exist through the radio, for instance. So this, when the signaling ends, right, that's sort of the hormones that are kind of being broken down and not functioning properly. So kind of a lot in there, but I think it's just really important to know how our hormones kind of function with the rest of the body, and how important they are in keeping them healthy. So we talked a little bit about this, but let's kind of dive deeper into toxins and how these toxins, right, whether it's, through foods that we eat, whether it's, household cleaners, whether it's air fresheners, sometimes it's even like things we're using in our skin, like body lotion, shampoo, makeup, right? Those things can make a huge impact on our endocrine system. Again, they're known as endocrine disruptors for a reason. So endocrine disruptors are chemical compounds that mimic or suppress the action of your own hormones, and even changing your body's reaction to those, right, to all of that. So excuse me, they can cause early puberty. I think we've seen this with a lot of young teenage girls, for instance, PCOS, infertility, thyroid issues, right, like hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism. It can even alter your cell's ability to burn fats, meaning weight gain or weight loss. According to the Environmental Working Group, I highly recommend that website. I think it's got some great information there. There is no end to the tricks that the endocrine disruptors can play on our bodies. So everything from increasing the production of certain hormones, decreasing the production of others, imitating hormones, turning one hormone into another, or interfering with the signal of hormones. I mean, it can wreak so much havoc, right, on our bodies, and just kind of accumulate into our organs, and just, cause all kinds of issues. So let's kind of just quickly go over some of the common endocrine disruptors. I said earlier, we've got our soaps, shampoos, lotions, right? Our air fresheners. So those are some common ones, right? Through things that we are sort of absorbing through our skin transdermally. It could even be the water that you're drinking, right? So there could be heavy metals or other contaminants in your water. It could even be in the fabrics, right? That are your kids or you may be using. Think like flame retardant pajamas, right? It's one of those things where I remember looking for kids' pajamas, and it was so hard just to find anything that wasn't made with the flame retardant fabric. But including your mattress, your bedding, right? There's formaldehyde, those flame retardants, chemical solvents, and of course, our food, right? So whether it's pesticides, GMOs, antibiotics, hormones that are given to the animals, right? Or the dairy that we might be consuming. So you can see there's endocrine disruptors kind of like in all facets of our kind of lifestyle. So, the more that we can do to kind of clean it up, the better, which means like if we have the ability to, right? Like choosing, foods that are maybe, from the farmer's market, direct from the farm, that don't have the pesticides, or organic as much as possible, or, cutting out processed food as much as we can, as well as, I remember at one point, once I learned more about kids' pajamas, I was like, okay, I guess we're not wearing kids' pajamas. We're just going to wear, regular cotton t-shirts, or, shorts to bed instead of the pajamas. But, every little thing that you do really does help, your body. And we'll talk about some other things that you can do in just a minute. But I just think it's really important to, start with one thing, right? If you're kind of overwhelmed, going, oh my gosh, we use all of those things in our household. What can we do? I really think just starting with the one thing, right? So maybe you start with, okay, the food. Let's get started with that and really clean up as much as we can. Then you can kind of move on to, okay, the products that we're using. We're going to be talking about some fantastic products tonight about how you can, help to balance your hormones naturally. But we all know the easy thing to do is to, clear out your cleaning products or like your skincare products. Young Living has such an amazing suite of different things that you can do. And if you're not already in loyalty rewards, it really is amazing because you can put it all in there, get your order each month, and not even have to worry about it, as well as like earning points, right, to get free stuff later. But, cleaning it up and just doing one thing at a time really does make it easier. But some other things that I wanted to mention, if you didn't already know this, because this was like an aha moment for me, because I didn't think I had a hormonal imbalance until I heard this. So I don't know. I know might be TMI. Does anyone struggle with like going to the bathroom? Going to the bathroom, maybe it's cramping, constipation, you don't go regularly, maybe you don't go every day, like number 2, right? Well, let me just tell you that was something that I dealt with. And I didn't know that that is usually correlated with a hormone issue. So the thing is, when we're exposed to these different xenoestrogen, for instance, basically that sort of synthetic estrogen from plastics, from food, some of the products that we might be using, it kind of gets absorbed through our bodies. And the process of elimination, like literally, like, you're going number 2, that is your body eliminating, right, those excess hormones from your body. So when you're not going once or twice a day, right, you're not going poo once or twice a day, it's like those excess hormones are kind of building up in your body. And before you know it, it's just sort of a recipe for disaster for hormonal imbalance. I don't know if you've ever gotten a hormone test, but I will tell you that it really is a great baseline to get started with. You can talk to your doctor about it. You can do an at-home lab test, but really getting that hormone test is really going to give you a snapshot of kind of what's going on. And I can talk a little bit more about testing in a little bit later. But what I found, for instance, was that I had estrogen dominance and low progesterone. And no surprise, it was because at the time, right, I was just kind of using products, not really kind of thinking about what I was doing. And I wasn't going to the bathroom every day. So it's one of those things where it's like, those xenoestrogens, right? Those synthetic estrogens are sort of building up in my body, and I wasn't eliminating them on a regular basis. And so that was causing this estrogen dominance in my body, and I wasn't, producing enough progesterone. So if you have trouble going to the bathroom or have had bathroom issues in the past, that is likely affecting your hormones and usually kind of a telltale sign. In fact, women who are postmenopausal are more likely to be constipated and have diarrhea or bloating, right? That's very, very common. It's even been found that candida growth, right? Like, sorry guys, yeast infections, right? Can increase when there's too much progesterone going on. So the digestive system, again, is really playing an important role in just the disposal, right, of excess hormones, in particular estrogen in the body. So if the bowel's not functioning properly, we're going to find that we're going to have a lot of these sort of hormone issues. Okay. I think it's so fascinating. Okay. So what can we do? Let me just tell you, we are so lucky we've got Young Living. And, if you're wondering where I'm getting a lot of this information, if you don't have this yet, right here, this is the essential oils desk reference. I love this. If you've got the pocket reference, I also think it's very handy, but I love the desk reference because there's a whole section here on hormones that you're not going to get in the pocket reference right here. It goes into a lot of detail about hormones, what they do, how they help you, how to like clean up your system, all about the Young Living products that can help with hormonal balance. Like this is definitely like a must-have that you need to get if you don't already have it. But let me just tell you a few products that I would suggest for hormonal imbalance or to help balance your hormones are supplements. I mean, supplements are just a really great way to make sure that we're getting the nutrients that we need so our bodies are performing optimally. And I will tell you, the late founder of Young Living, Gary Young, he found this in his findings as well, that the key to good hormone production is number one, keeping your liver clean. So your liver is really important, your liver function, and maintaining that to make sure that, again, everything's sort of working really well. And there's a product that Young Living has called Juvitone, and it's a supplement. You can take a couple of those tablets up to 2 times a day, and as needed, up to 4 times a day. And that is going to help to keep your liver nice and clean. Consuming digestive enzymes. I'm a huge fan of digestive enzymes. So this is something that I also learned from Gary Young is, we just sort of modern diet are not consuming enough enzymes to break down foods. It's just sort of, our food's different. We eat different. We're not really eating the way our great grandparents used to eat. They used to eat more enzyme rich foods while we're not. So one way that we can help our bodies to get those really essential digestive enzymes is to consume supplements. So if you've not tried them yet, Detoxzyme, Essential Zyme, Allerzyme, I love them all. But for hormone support, I really like Detoxzyme. So it's an enzyme that you can take, and it really helps to support that healthy digestive function. Again, the gut is really important in hormonal balance, and it's fantastic. So you can, with enzymes, it just sort of depends. Like with Detoxzyme, you can take a couple of them before bed. I like to take my enzymes right before I eat. That's a really great way to make sure that it's breaking down, right, the fat, the carbs, the protein in your body. And it sort of helps your body to eliminate what it doesn't need. And then it helps to digest, right, the nutrients that your body does need and get it to all the right places. So digestive enzymes are really key. Consuming a fiber-rich diet. So if you're not already getting your fruit and veggies, I love Ningxia greens. That's another great thing that you can do is just add a scoop of that, right? It's got a pre and a probiotic in it. And you can consume that with Ningxia Red, which is a fabulous antioxidant drink that Young Living has. And antioxidants are going to be really key in hormone production and support as well. But Life 9 is a probiotic that really helps with the gut. So again, it's unless you're actively eating right cultured foods or eating yogurt, most of us are not getting enough probiotic naturally in our diet. So we want to have a probiotic like Life 9 so that we're getting those good healthy bacteria to make sure that our gut's performing optimally. I will tell you, Ningxia Red, Life 9, and Detoxzyme or some kind of digestive enzyme, that's really kind of the trio to making sure that your gut is doing well. And you will be eliminating every single day, at least once, if not twice a day, when you're on that regimen. And again, remember, when we're eliminating properly, right, we're going poo, then our hormones are going to be, they won't excessively build up. We'll be eliminating exactly what we need all the time. Some other products that I would recommend from Young Living, Endoflex. If you're not using Endoflex, you are seriously missing out. Remember the endocrine system? We talked about this earlier, right? Endocrine disruptors, Endoflex, right? This is how you can tell what products from Young Living and what they're for. This is Endoflex, right? So this is going to be amazing for supporting just overall endocrine system. So anybody can take this. It's for men, it's for women. I've got a preteen, I've got teenagers. I'm like, you need some Endoflex, guys. Just helps with, keeping that equilibrium for your endocrine system. And I'll kind of break down the ingredients in it because I just think it's fabulous. It's got spearmint, which is great for metabolism. It's got sage, which helps to support both estrogen and progesterone production. So wonderful for menstrual support in particular. Myrtle helps to support the thyroid and the ovaries. You've got German chamomile, nutmeg. Nutmeg is supreme, especially for adrenal support. If you've ever dealt with adrenal fatigue. I've experienced that myself. It's when you get burnt out, like literally burnt out, like you're like done. Nutmeg is truly such an amazing thing to use. So that's what you get in Endoflex is your nutmeg and geranium. So it's just fantastic for that balance. Something else that I absolutely love. Okay, ladies, seriously, Progessence Plus. I will tell you, I used to have very, I wouldn't say like crazy moods, but just like I would go from 0 to 100 as far as my mood and my crankiness. You can ask my husband, and I'm telling you, ever since I've been on Progessence Plus, I just feel like, especially at that time of the month, I am just even keeled and just can handle things so much better, especially when I'm very irritable that time of the month. Progessence Plus has been really fantastic for me. So what is in Progessence Plus? So again, look at the name, Progessence, progesterone, right? I was telling you earlier that I was having some issues with my progesterone levels. So Progessence Plus is a special formula. There's no actual progesterone in it. What it has is wild yam, and studies have shown that, you know, wild yam helps the bodies just sort of naturally regulate and produce progesterone. And here's the thing, applying Progessence Plus, applying this topically works really well, right? You can just put it on your wrist, wear it as perfume. I have a friend, what she does is she gets that hormonal acne right in here, right along the chin. That's how you can kind of tell. And she'll just kind of like use her Progessence Plus and put it on her chin. And she said that really helps her, especially when she gets those like hormonal breakouts. But love to use Progessence Plus. I use it throughout the entire month. I know there are some ladies who don't use it during their period because they feel like they don't need to. And I think according to the book, the desk reference, it says you don't need to, but just for me, for the sake of a routine, I keep using it. Some other things that you can do for hormone support, Dragon Time. Oh my gosh, this is called Taming the Dragon right on this call. In particular, if you're feeling like you're like really cranky that time of the month, or dealing with like you're cramping or bloating or tenderness, right? This is definitely one that you're going to have. Dragon Time contains natural phytoestrogens, which help to balance those emotions, especially during your monthly cycle, but can be great for women who maybe are kind of like, you know, perimenopausal or menopausal, where they just need some, you know, estrogen support. So unlike xenoestrogens, which again are from toxins and they're synthetic estrogens, right? These sort of phytoestrogens that are in like Dragon Time, these are naturally occurring. So rather than like give you too much, it actually helps you to balance kind of like wherever you are. And this is kind of like where I feel like nature is so amazing, because it just sort of helps you to naturally balance. Like if you're good, it's like, all right, you're good. But if you need a little more than the phytoestrogens, right, you'll kind of get what you need from that. So where I like to put Dragon Time is on my ankles, like on the outside of my ankles. I'm telling you, especially if you get like hormonal headaches, Dragon Time is like magic. I've got some others to share, but I wanted to see if, let's see, I know we've got Stacy on the line, and I think she was going to talk about sclerescence, right?
I will tell you, Wendy actually has some really good information on sclerescence. Go for it, Wendy.
Sorry, I couldn't find my unmute. Oh, you're the best. So I love sclerescence, you guys. So back in 2017, I had to have a hysterectomy because of some female issues going on from just some stuff. From too much junk, too much toxic crap in my system is what was happening to me. And so I had to have this hysterectomy. Anyhow, my doctor wanted me to go on all these hormones, and I was like, no, thanks. I didn't want to do it. I didn't know what I was expecting because, you know, obviously I'd never broken communication with my uterus before. But when I did, I suddenly went into crazy hot flashes. And sclerescence was my lifesaver. I made a little roller bottle and I call it my Hot Mama Fund. And I seriously, no sooner than I uncap the bottle, put it on my wrist, they're done. So sometimes, depending on when I have them, I have to use it more often than not. Right now, I barely even use it. And it's fantastic. So if anyone's having hot flashes or going through that menopause stage, or if you get stressed out. So right now, if I get really stressed out, I totally have hot flashes right away. And it's cool because I know my hormones are listening because they're reacting to me reacting. Does that make sense? So, and it's like my water to put my hot flashes out is my Sclarescence. So I absolutely adore that. So that's one way to use it. I'm sure you guys have other ways as well, but that one is my hot flash tamer for sure.
Thank you, Wendy. I love that. I've used that hot mama roller. You gave me that recipe.
Yes.
I will say, so for me, kind of to piggyback on what you're talking about with hot flashes, when I first started getting hot flashes and became perimenopausal, and for those of you that don't know, when we talk about being in menopause, menopause is considered once you've gone 12 months without a cycle. Perimenopause is when you're in that phase where like maybe you're skipping cycles and you're just not regular and your hormones are starting to kind of get out of that balance, right? You're shifting into a new season in life. So, and it's during that shift when your hormones are kind of going up and down that can trigger hot flashes. And if you've never had one, the first time you have one, you're like, what is wrong with me? Why am I so flippin' hot? Like, I didn't know I had this fire within me. It's kind of how you feel. So when that first started happening for me, I actually started taking Sclarescence internally. So Sclarescence comes as a vitality, and I started taking it in capsules daily, and that really helped me and definitely made them less frequent because I was at a point where I was getting like many during the day, which is not fun. Like I can handle one or two, okay, but not all the time. And so I used that for a while, and then you know how things happen. Like I think I just ran out of Sclarescence, and I hadn't ordered it, and someone mentioned Femigen to me, and Femigen is one of our supplements that is actually designed for women going through that perimenopausal menopause phase. And it is really good for bringing balance to your hormones. So I use that right now. And Femigen, I think that the recommended dosing on a bottle is 2 capsules in the morning and 2 capsules at lunch. I've only been taking 2 in the morning, and that's been working. But what I just recently noticed is like right around like later in the evening, I'm starting to occasionally get like a hot flash right before bed. So I think I'm going to start adding in those 2 at lunch and see if that helps. Because I've just been kind of like skating by on half the recommended. But I find that with all of our supplements, like you can kind of start a little bit lower and experiment and see what works for your body, because all of our bodies are different. And then you can play around with it and see what works for you. And different things might work differently at different times. So that's been really helpful for me too.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. I feel like I'm right around the corner with that. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm like taking notes because I'm like, I know it's coming. So I just want to be prepared. So I'm like, all right, Femigen. Yes, Femigen. So another one, just to kind of put out there, that another supplement that we have that is phenomenal is Cortistop. Cortistop is great because it's one of those things where what is sort of like the death hormone? It's cortisol, right? Like in particular, when our fight or flight is sort of like on edge all the time, you know, whether it's, you know, we're under stress with a job or with, you know, economy or just things that are kind of going on in our life, you know, our cortisol levels can spike. And if they're kind of spiking all the time, it sort of puts us in that fight or flight mode, which just puts so much stress on our bodies. So, Cortistop contains natural progesterone and hormone precursors like pregnenolone, which helps to support the glandular system and balance that cortisol production. So when the body's under stress, those adrenals, right, release cortisol, which takes the progesterone away, right? So the longer one stays under stress, the more depleted the body becomes of progesterone, and the more that estrogen dominance can occur. And like, as I'm like reading this, right, I have some notes. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I could have used a few years ago when I found I had estrogen dominance and low progesterone. I bet it was stress, which knowing me, it probably was. And I really needed some Cortistop. So Cortistop is awesome. And what you can do is take 2 capsules in the morning before breakfast and another 2 right before bed. And the thing about Cortistop is, you take it for about 8 weeks and then you take a break for another 2 to 4 weeks. And if you need to start up again because you're sort of feeling like you're under stress, you feel like you're, that cortisol is going up again, you can hop back on cortisol or Cortistop, but it's really not meant to be sort of like an ongoing all the time. It's really just kind of as you need it, which is awesome. So in particular, if you feel like you're dealing with stress, that is definitely one that I would look at. And like I said earlier, your Endoflex and Nutmeg is going to be really great for adrenal support. So even if you're not there yet, right, you're not there where you feel like the hormones or the cortisol spiking, just for like everyday balance, to keep them in balance, your Endoflex and your Nutmeg is really going to help to kind of keep things there. Another supplement that we have that is off the charts amazing is Thyromin. I wish Jen Gaskell was on because I feel like she's got such a fantastic Thyromin testimonial, but just kind of a backstory. Your thyroid, right, is that energy gland of the body. It produces the T3 and T4 thyroid hormones that help to control your metabolism. So think of it as like the thermostat in your body. The pituitary gland signals to the thyroid when to produce, right, those thyroid hormones. The thyroid can both underproduce, right? That's the hypo, or overproduce. That's the hyper, right? Hypo and hyperthyroidism, which can cause different problems. So the goal is to nourish and to keep that thyroid balance. So Thyromin is a supplement which helps to nourish the thyroid, helps to balance those hormones, and really helps, has a combination of, glandular hormones, herbs, amino acids, minerals, and oils to help to support that thyroid. So Thyromin can be taken right before bed, and it is something that you can continue to kind of keep taking. But in particular, if thyroid is an issue, right, or if you're wanting to really, give love to your thyroid, Thyromin is a fantastic supplement. Love it. Wendy says she takes it at night too. Wendy, is you're taking Thyromin or cortisol or the Cortistop?
I do the Cortistop just once in a while. I don't take it constantly or anything, but like on those nights that I'm just up really late and my cortisol is just, I can feel it rolling in me too much and I'm too kind of amped to go to sleep, I'll take it and it works right away. You do not have to be on it all the time. And then during stressful situations, I definitely take it for longer periods of time, but you can take it just once and it works. So it's amazing.
Love it. That's so good to hear. And I love this comment from Krista. She's saying, listen to your body before you end up in a total crash. Prevention is so much better than having to do the repair once your body stops. And that is so, so true. And again, it's one of those things like the stress, like you feel it coming on and there's like little signals, you're snapping at people, right? Like it's hard to sleep, your heart's sort of racing. That's definitely the time to be listening. And so that's why I love these supplements, because it really helps to bring our hormones, helps to bring our stress levels, cortisol, back into balance, right? So we're not going out of balance and having to do the repair. I 100% agree. Prevention is so much better than having to do the repair. Let's see. Ashley, do you want to join on and give us some testimonials that you have for hormone balancing?
I don't know if I'm gonna repeat y'all. I'm also helping my child with homework at the same time because I was, that's what happens when you're studying in another room and they're coming to get your help. No, I was actually just going to mention being consistent because I've done Thyromin, I've done Fimogen, I've done so many of our supplements. And I would say the biggest noticeable difference for me, as in like lab results, noticeable difference is if I'm doing it not just consistently, but I'm doing it at a therapeutic dosage. So for me, that's like 3 power dies a day. And that is also me doing Progestins Plus and doing an off-label usage of ingesting Progestins Plus and also using it like 6 drops a day on the jawline, neck, and forearms. So want you to be aware, if you know you're deficient, as in like clinically deficient, you're probably gonna have to do a little bit different things than, hey, I might feel like I could use some more progesterone, or I might feel like my thyroid could use some support. So if you know that you're like, okay, I know I'm deficient, maybe you're moving through a period of being off of a prescription drug or not wanting to be on one, you're definitely gonna have to be a lot more aggressive with these than you would be if you're just a woman, an average woman with just some lower numbers. And I hope that's helpful, but I wanted to be clear about that because it does get a little confusing. It does. For me, it got a little confusing with testosterone because I knew Power Drive would help me, but I'd only ever taken one and I took it inconsistently when I was like going to go to the gym and lift heavy. Like literally, I was taking it very inconsistently. And then I had a friend really talk to me. She's like, you should try it. But really, for me, I needed to try it at a level that was different than an occasional dosage or usage. So I use 3 a day. It's helped me a lot. So that is really what I wanted to add. 'Cause I feel like y'all have gone through how things work, how the body's supported very thoroughly, but just being consistent and also being ready to do a different dosage or using it in a different way than other people. Yeah, that's not very fun. I wish I had something more fun. My child did make me a Ningxia Red mocktail, which is great for supporting your adrenal glands.
Hey, Ashley, can you, I've never taken Power Jives, and I'm just wondering like what and like for, if you can tell me more about your experience with it. Like
Sure. So
why you started taking it.
So I have low testosterone, like really low. Like for an athlete, it should be like 140 or something. Mine was like 7. Um, and that's not normal. That's like if you're highly active, as in I think it's like 12 hours or more a week or something. I think an average woman, it still is in the like, I don't know, 50, 60, somewhere pretty high. So that means you usually are like muscle deterioration, fatigue, um, actually the opposite, like lots of mood issues, just like all of our hormone imbalances. So recommended by most doctors, even naturopaths, other doctors, to take a cream or a testosterone supplement. So definitely use it to help with that. But on a casual usage note from Gary himself, when he made it, was to help feel more powerful on days you feel weak. And that sounds really silly, but I was taking it before very haphazardly and literally before I was going to like do a hard lifting workout. It definitely is energy supportive. So I find that I have very different days of energy. I tend to want to nap in the afternoon because I don't sleep at night, and that's my issue. I know, but I tend to want to nap in the afternoon. And Super B doesn't like, I love it, but it doesn't feel like a superpower because I think I've taken it for so many years. I've taken 2 of them for so many years. It definitely is brain supportive and I love it, but I don't feel like I'm like, oh, I just took my B vitamins. Like I'm all, but I do feel like with Power Drive, I definitely feel sustained energy all day long. And that sense of strength, and that might sound weird, but not just working out, but just the way I feel, my body feels stronger, literally stronger when I take it. I don't know if that was helpful.
That was so good. Thank you so much. Wendy's saying, when do you take it in the
Yeah, I
morning?
take everything in the morning because I will never remember if I don't. So people who like do morning, afternoon, midday, I'm like, yeah, I'd never remember. No, I take some, I'm sorry, that's a lie. Let me put it that way. I have a pile of stuff I take at night, but it's not spaced during the day. Is that a better answer for you? Because I take sulfur time at night. I take my second Thyromin at night. I use Progestins Plus. I use some oils at night, but I definitely take all my supplements is in the big handful in the morning, and I set them out the night before on the counter. And I trick myself. I put them out by water and make myself do that before I drink coffee. So I put it right over my coffee pot. No one else has ever done Power Ties? What? Work.
That's so good, Ashley. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have a testimonial to share for having to balancing hormones? Would love to hear from you. You know, as we sort of wait for like either comments or for someone to raise their hand and say yes, Tracy, not me, different Tracy, couldn't be on the call tonight, but she says Progestins Plus at bedtime for menopause symptoms, for keeping things at heel, Clary Sage for sleep and hot flashes, Mister, which we didn't talk about tonight, but Mister is a blend that's more formulated for men, but honestly, you know, women use it too. It's just sort of like, again, going back to Ashley's point of like, you need to, you know, use what you need that your body is looking for, right? So Mister is a blend with sage, fennel, lavender, myrtle, peppermint and blue yarrow. So it really helps with sort of balancing emotion, mental stability, stress for men, but that's why it's called Mister, but it can be used for women too. But she says it really helps her at bedtime for her hot flashes. Endoflex for her thyroid. She says all of them help with, keeping things spicy in the bedroom, which I think is something we all want to have as well. So that's always good to know. Love it. Anyone else here have a testimonial to share? Yeah, Wendy, please.
So I love that you were talking about Dragon Time, and I just want everyone, I loved how Ashley was saying how, everyone needs to use these differently because we're all different people. And Dragon Time is one of those things that I don't use all the time, but when I use it a lot. And it's for me, even though I don't have my uterus any longer, I still like cycle with my kids, right? My girls. And so, because I still have my ovaries. And so I'll have those times during the month that I can tell I get more emotional. Someone says something, I'm a little bit like weaker and I tend to get more emotional. And so, or I want to bite their head off really quickly. And it's like, this is what I use. And again, I just put it on my wrist and I put it right around here. And it works immediately. And it's, it works really well. So I think you just have to find how it works for you, like Ashley was saying, because I think it works different for everyone and we'll find it. And I like how Ashley was saying too, that, the recommended dose on the bottle is the recommended dose. I work for a vitamin company and the recommended dose is just that. It's just what they can recommend. And it's usually far above what they usually say. So I like how Ashley was saying, I'm going to take more, or like Stacy was saying, I start off with less because you can, you know what I mean? And then let your body work up. Your body's going to take it in and utilize it,
I love it. I feel like it's like someone was saying earlier, I think it was Krista, it's like you really have to listen to your body. Like your body's really trying to communicate with you. So it's really time to listen up. Yeah. Okay, Krista, have you ever heard that flower oils like lavender geranium are estrogenic? Her natural provider has said to be careful with that. Try not to use to bring the progesterone. Yeah, you know what? There's actually been some articles that have like circulated about lavender causing, it can, spike your estrogen. I actually remember reading something that was like so outrageous. It was like it could cause, breast size increase in like boys. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. My kids have been using lavender and geranium ever since they were babies. There's no boobies, just being real with you. It's one of those things where I think whatever study they were doing, and we can find it for you, Krista, if you want to reach out to one of us. But there's been several studies that have debunked that, because I think however they were doing it, it was, what kind of lavender were they using? Was it actual real lavender? Was it synthetic lavender? Probably synthetic. And I think they were doing the study in mice and they were using like a crazy amount, probably, whatever, 500 times the amount that you would use in an actual, right, like regular dose. So it was one of those things where it was like all over the place. But what I will say is, for sure work with your practitioner, your doctor, whoever you're kind of working with for your natural hormone support, to, bring the products that you have and have them read the labels. I can't tell you how many times we've had people on our team actually bring the products like Progessence Plus and bring the things in and go, here, I want you to read this. So this, our lavender is very different than other lavender out there. Most of the lavender in the market is actually synthetic. And so I can't speak to the synthetic lavender, but I can tell you just for anecdotally with my own use, and you can ask, I know Stacy, Wendy, and Ashley, we've all used lavender on our kiddos too, and they're all good. But really good question. It does come up every now and then, and I totally understand because as a mom, as you know, or using it for yourself, you want to like do your due diligence, but definitely bring it in. And if you didn't know this, Progestins Plus was actually formulated with Gary Young and a doctor named Dr. Dan Purser. He has his own Facebook page that you could follow. He actually offers at-home lab testing for hormones. They're not cheap, but they're very good lab panels. But he is a doctor who specializes in fibromyalgia, hormone support, but he actually helped to produce Progestins Plus along with Gary Young for Young Living. So if that's something that you wanted to like take to your doctor and show them, I would highly recommend it. Any other questions, comments, testimonials? These are so good. I love the testimonials part. It's so fun. Okay, is that it? I think so. All right, everybody, just wanted to say thank you for joining us tonight for this Oily Underground. We want to hear from you. Do you love the Oily Undergrounds? We want to keep doing more Oily Undergrounds. Let us know. We love to hear from you. If you've got a topic that you want to hear us delve into and talk about, we would love to hear from you. Okay, and just wanted to say thank you so much for joining. We'll have the recording up so you can listen to later or share with someone on your team. Thanks to Ashley, Stacy, and Wendy for sharing. You guys are awesome, and have a good night, everyone. Bye.